Could Vyvanse be the key to overcoming binge eating and ADHD, or is it just another quick fix with serious side effects? Let's find out in today's video. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell in the top corner so you're notified every time I publish a new video on binge eating, emotional eating, and how you can live with food freedom. My name's Meredith McKenzie. I'm a binge eating therapist, intuitive eating coach, and the founder of the One Body to Love program. I've helped hundreds of women to overcome the binge restrict cycle and to learn to eat intuitively. If you clicked on this video, you're probably curious about the relationship between ADHD and binge eating. Maybe it's something you struggle with yourself. And in my practice, I often work with women who struggle with both. They may not have received a diagnosis when they were younger, and now as they're getting older, maybe they've had children or they're later past university, they're starting to realize that there are so many symptoms that not only contribute to their binge eating behaviors, but also impact the way they navigate the world. So before we get started, I just want to provide a disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and doesn't constitute or replace an assessment, an evaluation, or any kind of therapeutic work that you would do with a professional. For women who are highly underdiagnosed, particularly in childhood, many women don't get their diagnosis until later in life in adulthood. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder and it is associated with lower executive functioning. It's known for symptoms of impulsivity, inattention, and hyperactivity. For many people with ADHD, there is a deficit in a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is responsible for helping us maintain our attention and all of those organizational tasks associated with executive functioning. Dopamine, as I've talked about before when I've discussed the binge restrict cycle, is responsible for feelings of reward and motivation. It's that neurotransmitter that says, hey, I like that, I'm gonna do more of it. And so when we're not feeling rewarded for something, we're less likely to do it. However, when we are rewarded, like when we eat something super tasty, we're gonna keep doing that. And so for a lot of people with ADHD, they can find that their relationship with food becomes really tricky because either they're not paying attention and they're not being able to be organized to, fix a lunch and get everything planned out or make sure that they pull themselves away from the computer screen in order to eat lunch on time so that their bodies are nourished, leading them then to binge eat down the line when they get hangry. That leads them to rely on really tasty food, the foods that are going to really highlight that dopamine reward system within their brains so that they can get what they're really missing because of their ADHD. So here are a few ways that ADHD and binge eating are connected. If you have trouble with planning your day, planning your meals, it may lead you to not eat and not engage with food when you need to, when your body is giving you those signals that you're not able to really attend to because of ADHD. And as a result, you end up finishing your day quite hangry, famished, and all of your urges to eat are incredibly strong, but now you also have an increased dopamine deficit. So eating and coping with food is really the only recourse in that moment, leading to binge eating. If you struggle with hyperfocus or time blindness, where you're not paying attention to the clock, suddenly hours have passed and you're so hungry, well then you're more likely to skip meals, more likely to skip snacks and not attend to the cues your body is giving you or the movement of the clock because you're so hyperfocused in the moment. Impulsivity associated with ADHD as well can have you just jump and grab something without really giving it a lot of thought, recognizing that that food is going to give you a boost in dopamine rather than being able to use your food anthropologist and say, do I want this right now? Is this something I feel ready for? Is there something else I would prefer? Instead, we see food and we grab it. And this can make the whole making peace with food aspect of intuitive eating incredibly challenging because we want you to have those foods in your house, but so many of my clients with ADHD will say, yeah, but if it's in my house, I just want to eat it all the time because I see it so often. And finally, if you struggle with ADHD, just the executive functioning required to plan out your grocery shop, make sure you have enough food for certain days of the week, knowing that you should be planning for the days that you're really super busy and you're not going to be as organized, can be a lot. So let's move into talking about Vyvanse because that's why you clicked on this video, right? Vyvanse is a central nervous system stimulant, which was originally approved for use for people with ADHD. And then in 2015, the FDA in the United States approved it for use with mild to moderate binge eating disorder. It works by increasing the dopamine and norepinephrine levels within your body, which then works with the dopamine pathways within your brain to improve focus, attention, and impulse control. Participants in a study on on Vyvanse for binge eating discussed that they experienced a decrease in the cravings that they had for food, and that reward relationship that they had with food decreased as well, so that they weren't feeling that intensity or that desire to eat the food as much, which also reduced the number of binge episodes in the week. So what we know from the research so far is that Vyvanse does seem to improve the likelihood that you are to engage in binge eating and to decrease some of that noise or the hyper focus that you might have on food. However, really how this is working in the binge relationship is not fully known. So that might all sound promising to you, but I do want to create a bit of a discussion here because it's not all sunshine and rainbows of just taking Vyvanse and then everything is all better. In general, Vyvanse is associated with potential side effects including insomnia, decreased appetite, increased heart rate, constipation, anxiety, and jitteriness. And everyone's tolerance for those side effects is going to be different. It's just unfortunate that the medications that we do have available to us do impact our bodies in negative ways. And I would highly recommend working closely with your medical doctor to attend to and keep an eye on some of those potential side effects. The main side effect that I hear as being concerning is one of decreased appetite. Already somebody who struggles with ADHD might also struggle with paying attention to time and recognizing that they need to eat and listening to and really attuning to their hunger and fullness cues because they are just so locked into whatever it is they're doing. Now, unfortunately, stimulant medications also create this suppressed appetite. And so while you might physically be hungry or your body might be needing nourishment, your body is not going to get those cues. And what I've seen happen is that medications like Vyvanse typically work really well from when you take them first thing in the morning, and then they gradually leave your system by the end of the day. And that can be around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, depending on how that medication is metabolized by your body. That's when the ADHD symptoms come right back in. Now, if we add into the mix a struggle or a difficulty with eating emotionally, this is going to be prime time to not only binge because your emotions are running high, but if you haven't been attending to your hunger all day or your appetite has been suppressed by the medication, you're going to be really hungry in the evening. Suddenly this medication isn't in your body anymore. Maybe you've had dinner and the emotions are now running extra high, and all of the pressure that you would have been getting throughout the day to eat is now flooded back in. It actually can increase a likelihood of binge eating in the evenings. One of the ways you might want to work with Vyvanse in this would be to actually set a time for yourself to eat. Even if you're not physically very hungry, and I know this kind of goes against the whole intuitive eating thing, but you need to be very mindful of nourishing your body often throughout the day so that you're not incredibly hungry in the evening. Your body needs that consistent nourishment in order to meet all of its needs and to keep it functioning really well. So even if you're not feeling hungry, it's important to continue to eat throughout the day. Anxiety and jitteriness are also very common side effects of using Vyvanse. If you already struggle with anxiety or you're very sensitive to those somatic symptoms of your heart racing or your thoughts racing, these are things that you might want to just be mindful of because the Vyvanse might increase those. It's normal for a stimulant. And that's where I would definitely say continue to work with a therapist who can help you regulate your attention to those symptoms and how you want to attend to having those symptoms at all. For some people, it can be incredibly off-putting that they feel this sense of jitteriness in their bodies, and to have that stay with them throughout the day can be really difficult. So just be aware that that might be a side effect, and over time, it might decrease. There's the possibility that it'll decrease as you become more dependent on the medication, meaning that the effects of the medication are not as strong as they previously were. That, though, brings me into another concern of taking Vyvanse. Vyvanse is within the class of amphetamines, which means that your body does have the ability to become dependent on it. What this means is the longer you take the medication, the more likely the effects of the medication are going to decrease over time. It's going to take more of that medication to be as effective as it previously was. And a reason that this can be challenging is that if you are needing it to help you with your focus, your attention, your planfulness, all of those things, and binge eating, that the dosage that you took in the beginning might not be as effective over time. And so you need to increase the dose and then increase the dose. And unfortunately, there is going to be a cap on how much of that medication you can take. So for some people, that is a very real thing to be looking at. The other side of this too is how it can impact your heart health. So this is why whenever anybody takes these types of medications, it's very important to work closely with your medical doctor to make sure that your heart is being monitored, because there is the possibility of heart attack and cardiovascular concerns due to taking this medication. So my encouragement is to just really reflect on your reasoning for wanting to take Vyvanse, to see if it would work for you. You can even talk to your doctor about doing a trial run, because not all medications work for everybody and not all medications are tolerated well by everybody. Because of this, I highly recommend that you work closely with both your medical professional and a therapist who is familiar with binge eating to really assess and to help you with building skills. Anyone who has ADHD, I think, could benefit from both of those. Medication can be highly effective, but a lot of people get so much out of learning skills of how to manage their ADHD in their day-to-day lives, how to schedule things well for them, how to make things more organized for themselves, and to essentially use their strengths in ways that are going to help them with their organization skills. And then the medication helps them do that and kind of like is the oil within the whole machinery. And I have a tool for you that I think you're gonna wanna try out. If you are struggling with binge eating in the evening and that seems to be the most difficult time for you, even if you're taking a medication like Vyvanse, I wanna invite you to download my guide on the 5 steps that you need to be taking to end binge eating at night. It's comprehensive, but it's short but sweet, and you're gonna love it. So I've put that in the description box down below for you so you can have this tool to saddle up and side by side with the medication that you're taking. And I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was informative and helped you to really consider if Vyvanse would be a good fit for you with treating your ADHD and binge eating. If you found it helpful, please give the video a like, share it with anyone who might be struggling with ADHD and binge eating as well, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you're notified every time I publish a new video. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you're notified every time I share a new video about emotional eating and embracing intuitive eating. And I think you're gonna wanna check out these videos right here to enhance your journey and help you on your way as you explore food freedom and intuitive eating. I'll see you in the next video.